Hey, Kellen, what's up?
Oh, Brad.
It had to be done.
Had to be done. Had to be done, Brad.
Carrie is saying super late. Listen, it is 10:30 on my clock. I don't know where Carrie is, that the time works differently. But...
She's in Kansas. She's in Kansas City. She's in Missouri, I think. Some friend I am that I don't know where Carrie lives. Anyways,
I don't know.
She's in some flyover state. That's all that matters. So, Brad, how are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm much more relaxed because I have a wife again. I'm no longer a single parent. Being a single parent for a month makes me feel like single parents are magical heroes.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how they do it.
Brad is someone who was a single parent for years. I can tell you, anybody can do it. It's just you make your life a lot smaller.
Sure.
You kind of just do a lot less. You say these are the restaurants we go to. These are the ways in which my life works. Just so you can sort of manage it. But Brad, I believe it. You can do it.
At least that part was fairly simplified for me because nothing is open.
Yeah, there you go.
It made that part at least pretty easy. We just kind of stayed at home and played video games and ate too much pizza. It really wasn't that bad. But I am very tired somehow. I don't.
It is okay to be tired, Brad. It is okay to be exhausted. It's okay to just say we're going to order McDonald's and play video games, and that's what life is sometimes when you're a single parent. Doesn't have to be that way all the time, but right now, because of COVID, that's what it was.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah,
how about you? I heard you got some good news.
Do you
want to talk about good news?
Yeah, talk about some good news. I received an offer for a new job. I will be working at a Canadian company, Brad. I will be working in a company that will allow me, as I said to you before, the potential to go and live and work in Canada. When I think about emigrating to another country, Canada, up there with like the Netherlands and,
I mean, it's
New Zealand.
Great. I don't know if I would suggest it right this minute.
Right now. Probably not.
But generally speaking, very nice place to live.
I think so. I think, if nothing else, Brad, the food, the comedy, the people, I mean, it all seems great. And I live in Chicago already, so it's not like I'm living in, Miami Beach and it's going to be much of a culture shock. It will be.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a huge sort of shock with the weather or anything like that. It would just pretty much be more of the same. I imagine.
More of the same, which is, it's okay to me. It's okay. Yeah, but it's I'm very excited. It's been very nice. I've been job searching for a while, and I'm very happy to be done with it. I had to explain to my son. I was like, it's like I've been in a race, and I finally got first place. Feels fantastic. I got second place a couple times, fourth, fifth place a couple times, but boy, feels so nice to get first place, so I don't have to worry about this anymore. Now I get to worry about all the imposter syndrome bullshit that's going to come in like the second or third day I'm at the job and be like, oh, God.
Why have I done this? Oh, no. I was good at the other thing. What am I doing?
I was a lazy genius at the other job. Why am I here? It'll all be fine. It'll be fine.
Sure, it'll be great.
It'll be fine.
Sounds like a good time.
I get to go work with the robots and learn about artificial intelligence and help the robots learn how to give a product to you in a better fashion. It'll be great.
That's fun and terrifying.
It is. Explaining the sort of AI elements of how products are going to be like positioned to people, as I've been like sort of explaining it to my mom. My mom's like, "What are you going to do?" And I was like, "Oh, like when you go to this site, like how like just products will show up." She's like, "Oh, I love that." I'm like, "Yeah, well, there's a robot doing that, and I'm going to be the robot's keeper to make sure that the robot doesn't realize that it could do this with people." So,
sure. I mean, it could do it with people though.
It could. But its job is to do it with shoes and pants at the Gap.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could go wrong?
I'm sure it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
There's not dozens of movies about this exact thing. It's fine.
I will say this, Brad. I don't know which one I would like more. If I would want a zombie apocalypse or the robot apocalypse. I feel like a zombie apocalypse is a little easier. Robot apocalypse, it's just like there's no way we win, right? There's no way that the human race wins versus the robots.
Probably not. Probably not. It would be tricky.
Besides like massive EMP bombs, like that's the only thing I can see where it's just like, all right, well, we just have like all these EMPs, and it's just like, well, that's not going to work.
Sure. Yeah, we're restarting civilization because we need to kill the robots.
Yeah, that'll be exactly what we need. So,
that'd be great.
You said that you had a question from the audience that they...
I do. Jeremy, my friend from Australia,
right?
Jeremy, sent me a question to ask you.
Okay.
He asks, if you were Batman rich, would you be good or evil? And either way, what would you do with the money?
That's a great fucking question. If I was Batman rich, I think I would be good. What I probably would do is, rather than do the Batman thing I would probably be more the Batman Beyond, right? I would want to be the guy who's like, I'm going to find all the heroes out there, and I'm going to privately fund them. Sure. And make sure they can kind of go out there and do those sort of things, get them the tech, and then sort of run interface for them. Kind of like, oh God, what is the... There's like a group. There's a DC group. BJ's in the chat. Help me with this. There's a group that predates the X-Men in the DC universe. Fuck, man. Now I'm blanking on this. What is this group called?
Wish I could help you, but I haven't.
I know. It's fine. It's not really important. If I was Batman rich, I'd be good. Or oh boy, though, here we go. Brad, here's the other voice in my head saying, if I was Batman rich, I'd be both good and bad, because I would fund both of the groups, right?
Sure.
To almost say like, no, this is why we need heroes, right? So I would be sort of the benefactor to all the heroes, and then kind of like the Secret Six, I would almost be funding like a group of bad guys as well, right? So that the bad guys and the good guys could sort of like duke it out and justify all of this.
It's starting to feel like every time we talk about superheroes, we just end up talking about the boys. We're just always talking about the boys.
I mean, if there's a reason it's a popular show, right? Is it good?
It's true. It's fair enough.
Yeah, because it's like if you make a bunch of good guys, the good guys are eventually going to get out. It's just like the boys. They're going to get a little too powerful, right? And that's why you want to have some bad guys there to sort of like, they got to have something to rub against, right?
Sure.
So like having my own sort of like private military armies fighting against each other for my entertainment is what I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because at that point, if I'm Batman rich, I probably am not really interested in TV or movies anymore. I'm like sex and food and like going to the moon. None of that probably matters to me. It's all about how can I make the world of heroes a reality for me. And then, Brad, here we go. So how do I fund the rest of it, right? Make the world of heroes great. Also, then you buy the book rights and the TV rights and all the merchandise rights, and your company also makes that. So you just look like you're a businessman who's sort of making money off of this, but the people don't realize that you're also the one who's creating and funding these characters fighting each other. It would be great. It would be so much better.
I mean, that does sound fun. I would probably put that slightly more on the evil.
It is definitely evil, Brad. But I think it's more balanced, right? It's Mr. Glass evil, right? It's not. That's sort of the thing where it's like I'm not trying to take over the world. I'm not trying to hurt anybody intentionally. I am Lex Luthering my way into creating an environment where heroes and villains can in fact exist for my entertainment.
Sure.
So it's more like Mogo, I guess. It's a little bit more like Mogo.
Sure.
And then, Brad, in the background, what I'm doing is I'm doing a bunch of science experiments to create the X-Men. So a lot of genetic alteration to make the X-Men real, right? That's the way to do it. That's the way.
I like it.
I like all this. What about you, Brad? What would you do?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to be like out doing superhero nonsense. I would
No.
probably be like Oracle style,
Yes.
telling people where to go or
Mhm.
whatnot. But like as far as like spending the money, I would probably be funding like vigilante nonsense and stuff.
Right? That's the way you would want to do it. I need to find this group, the superhero group. It's not the Metal Men. It's not who the fuck is this group? Fuck. Justice, no, it's not that. It's not Infinity. What the fuck is this group called? Human Defense Corp. No, that's not it.
I don't know.
Literally, there's a show on DC, the DC channel. It's about this. God damn it! What is this show called? It doesn't matter. This is such boring television right now. Kellen goes on Wikipedia to find. It's not the Omega Men. That's not what it is. Fuck. What is this group called?
Let's see, BJ is behind this.
Oh yeah, BJ's behind it.
That is a job that I would probably be good at even now. I just don't have quite the funding for it.
BJ got it. It's Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol.
Okay.
Love me some Doom Patrol. Also, what a great name, Doom Patrol, right?
It is a good name. I haven't watched that show yet. I gotta watch that.
It's very, very good. It's weird. It's very weird, and I love it. Brendan Fraser's in it. He's amazing in it.
Yeah, I've heard
they put him in a goddamn like a suit. You don't get to see his beautiful himbo face.
It's a shame.
It's a shame. Brad, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
What is mankind's greatest discovery?
Mankind's greatest discovery.
Yes.
I mean, go with a classic and go fire, but
you could say fire, like, right? You could say
discovery.
Fire. Discovery is it's tough. Not invention.
Like, did we discover fire?
We discovered how to harness fire, right? Sure. There's not a lot. You don't see lions out there, rubbing sticks together, making fires. We discovered how to harness it, right? There's an element that way.
Right. Is discovery and like invention separate?
I would say so. I think discovery and invention, because I think invention is like a product or like a system, right? But like I would say like electricity, right? I would say that is a discovery. I would say the polio vaccine. I would say for example, I don't know, butter, for example. Butter might be one that you might be able to
see. I don't know if that's a discovery.
I think butter is a discovery. I think the same way with fermentation, that's a discovery. BJ says toilet paper, that's an invention, not a discovery. We did not. There's no toilet paper in the wild that we discovered. That's fermentation, Brad, right?
Out of that sort of list, I would probably go with electricity if that's
electricity
as a discovery. Seems pretty important to humanity in general, and once we discovered it, definitely things accelerated quite a lot.
Yeah, it's one of those things that is so silly that nobody thinks about electricity, where it's like nothing we do today could exist. You and I would not be friends. We could not be talking right now without the simple element of electricity, because it's just electricity. But when we think about it, it's like, that's the fucking reason we got to the moon. That's the reason we traveled around the world, is because of electricity, right? It's so good.
It is very good.
Yeah. So electricity, not butter, huh? Interesting.
Electricity, I think, would beat out butter, in my opinion. To each their own. Brad. To each their own.
Interesting. People are going to be a little upset about that in the whole butter crew, but
Yeah. But yeah, I think I would have to go with electricity.
Electricity, yeah. That's a good one. I mean, it's tough for me. I'm such a foodie that I think about like fermentation. I think about how do we discover how to, like cooking food, right? Like That's a weird one too to be thinking about. Like, I don't know. How did we figure oral? There you go. I mean,
I can do what with it? Okay.
You mean wait a second. Hold on, guys. You're telling me that this can go here?
I've been using it for just that one thing all this time, and there was more options.
There's more options? The next thing you're going to say is I can use these, right? These grimy hands. Here's the thing. Did we discover oral, or did the bonobos discover it? I think that's
I was going to say, like, are we talking about human discoveries? Because there's definitely animals that have discovered oral.
Oh, yes. A lot of animals know about oral. I think we learned it from the dolphins.
Very possible. They are horny.
They're very horny. I think a couple of chimpanzees were hanging out in a tree, eating some coconuts and some bananas. They saw a bunch of dolphins fucking and giving each other oral sex, and they said, well, you know what? Why not? And that was the first gay couple.
That seems historically accurate. I'm sure that's totally
100% accurate.
Yeah. Don't look it up, though.
No, not worth it.
Not until we have time to edit Wikipedia a little bit.
Give me another weird one, Brad.
Okay, so since you're going to be working with the AI overlords now,
yes,
if there were to be a government run by an AI and a set of algorithms, would that be better or worse than the current system of government?
I think it would be better. I don't think it would be. I mean, compared to the current system of government, yes, I think an AI overlord. But I mean, I would say this: I would want to have not one AI. I would want to have like a board of AIs, right? I would say we have the finance AI. We've got the health and human services AI. We've got like the FCC AI. Like we would have all of these AI programs that would manage things individually, right? And their sort of programming would be siloed that way so that they couldn't necessarily like see everything. It would just be one of those weird things where it's like, I don't want to have one giant overlord AI that does everything. I want to have all these little ones that could kind of like be adjusted that way.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind it. I'm not saying it's the best idea. I'm just saying it's a idea, right? Yeah.
It would certainly make for like shorter political debates because it would just be instant.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the question though too is are the AIs sort of propped up by a company? Does Google say, hey, we have a new AI that we think is going to be good for the FCC, so vote for Google's, Deep Blue? Or is this like the government like, oh God, like nationalizes the tech industry and says, great, your job is to make us unemployed, right? Like,
I guess it would depend on the level of AI or the category of AI that we're talking about, right? Because if it's true AI, it wouldn't necessarily be controllable, even if it's how it started, because it would be rewriting itself.
Constantly rewriting itself.
So any sort of intent from the original creator would be very quickly lost.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's just the question is like, who's the one who just like pushes the ball down the hill? Right. And then says, "Cool, we're all done."
I'm sure this will be fine. releases the AI into the world.
Yeah.
It could be great, but it could also be terrifyingly horrible.
I mean, I guess there's a part of me, and again, we kind of talked about this early on. I love this idea about AI that sort of is like a child, right? Like that is sort of like emotionally needs a person there to like read it poetry and be like, here is the work of, Fran Lebowitz, so you can understand what humanity is like that has to read, books to it to sort of help it continually understand why humanity is important. Like, I love this idea of that's how you get the artists involved. Versus just like, well, no, we just let the robots go and they do their thing. Like, I think there needs to be something more to it personally. So
sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully there would be some kind of a path to things like empathy. Maybe killing all of the humans isn't an option. Like, even if you think it's the best option, just don't do it anyway.
Let's not do that anyway. Let's not do that. But I mean, in some ways, I think the AI would realize it's like, well, if I kill all the humans, like, they're going to come back. They're little viruses, so we might as well figure out a way to make them better, right?
It's true.
Let's put them on spaceships. Let's send them out to the stars. We'll figure it out from there.
Right.
Oh boy, that was a good question, Brad. I like that question a lot. What about you? Would you prefer AI overlords or let's keep
to the sort of things that we have right now? Probably.
Yeah. Right.
Seems like a worthwhile risk at this current point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could definitely get real scary real fast. So
yeah, I mean, that's the hardest thing about it. Like, if you think about like fascism, if you think about like eugenics, like the AI is still based on some form of human like facts, and in some ways, like, it's still fallible. Like, the thing that I think is really interesting reading about AI is like racism in AI, to be like, these are all racist ideas that the AI doesn't understand as racist because it's been programmed this way, Right. It's just it's tough to sort of be thinking about how all of those sort of elements sort of play together and how you sort of work through it that way.
Right. Like the separation of information and truth becomes very difficult.
Very difficult.
When you're teaching a robot how to parse the differences there. Because even most humans aren't great at understanding why there's a difference sometimes.
No.
So trying to explain to that sort of concept to a, by definition, rational, to a fault being would probably be a problem.
I mean, in some ways, Brad, this is like a communism like problem, right? Like, you almost have to like go and find a country and say, cool, we're just going to try this here for 10 years, right? That's the plan. If you want to go live in Bolivia and have an AI overlord, in Bolivia, that's the plan. And anybody who wants that can go to Bolivia, and we're going to try it for 10 years. And it's a closed system. You can't come, you can't go, but that's what we're going to try and do.
Right.
And like, you would almost have to try it in that small section to see if you could do it, right? Like, you would have to like take a small population, have an entire country committed to it to see if it was possible, right? Because that's one of those things about like communism in general. I'm trying to just get my fucking soapbox here for a second, but like, you have to be able to isolate yourself to try and have the system sort of work. And the reason why communism never works is because capitalists are constantly able to undermine the economy of communist systems and to completely destabilize it so that it never can work, right? You would have to do the same thing in terms of AI, like to say like, there would be governments who would want the AI to fail because if AI succeeded, then they would realize that they would be obsolete. So Antarctica becomes the first AI country. Anybody who wants to go to Antarctica can, and an AI overlord will watch them and terraform Antarctica and create this perfect utopia. And then, that's when the fun starts.
Sure. See, the only sort of major problem, the only major issue I see with that is if you're using a period of time that's anywhere near reasonable on a human scale to test something on an AI, the AI is not going to care about the time frame. So if it is evil at any point during that test, it will not care how long it has to wait. It can outlive all of the humans it needs to and pretend to be great during the test. And then as soon as it has the actual release, okay, great. Now I can go full on.
Now we go. Brad, that's tough, man. That is tough.
It's a tricky problem.
Brad, I don't know about you. I'm hot. I'm going to take my shirt off real quick. I'm just a little warm right now. Pardon me. I'm just very warm in my shirt right now. Excuse me. I feel, oh God, it is so hot here in the house. I don't know what it is. Is it hot in Canada?
It's not that hot.
It's not that hot?
Not that
It's
hot.
not melting? Not melting?
I think you're trying to find out is what you're trying to do, are you?
Trying to find out.
You're fucking around right now. I'm going to find out pretty soon.
I don't know what you're talking about, Brad. I'm just sitting here.
That's fine.
That's it. That's all I'm doing.
I do miss the overalls, but
that's the problem, Brad. Is it's just warming up. I have to find some nice overalls that are shorts that'll work really well that way. And again, if I'm going to be wearing overalls, at that point, I need to just do the whole shebang, and everyone sees everything, and it's a different show at that point.
Sure, it's a very different show.
It's a very different show at that point. That's Brad and Kellen After Dark.
Sure. We don't have a Patreon yet. We could just go with OnlyFans instead.
We could. It's a much better payout system than Patreon, that's for sure. Brad, I'm going to talk about snacks real quick. Brad, what's your favorite snack to eat while watching a movie?
My favorite snack to eat while watching a movie? Probably like those like licorice nibs.
Licorice nibs, okay.
Like licorice, but there's no hole. Like, what are they called? Super nibs? Whatever.
Well,
they're like Twizzlers, but they don't have a hole in them.
Licorice nibs. Twizzler nibs?
I might actually have something.
These are tasty. These are tasty little snacks.
Yeah, those are great.
Twizzler nibs. Very good.
Any sort of like chocolate covered pretzel situation?
Chocolate pretzel, fantastic.
That's
so
good
good
stuff.
I also enjoy a yogurt covered pretzel. I mean, you just take a pretzel and you dip it in something. It's very tasty.
Sure. Like a good chocolate covered coffee bean sometimes, although I can't have them around for very often because they just magically disappear really fast, and I don't understand how. And then I just vibrate a lot for a few days. I'm sure it's a coincidence.
I'm sure it's more. That's more like Saturn sort of moving in a certain sort of way. It's hard to sort of describe why.
Exactly.
Notice you didn't say popcorn.
I mean, that usually comes before the snacks. but yes, that too.
Brad, you didn't say popcorn. You don't enjoy eating popcorn with your...
I don't really enjoy popcorn all that much. I'll have popcorn if it's around, but
don't enjoy popcorn,
I don't seek it out, no.
If you have to have popcorn, do you like anything on the popcorn?
A little bit of salt, a little bit of butter sometimes. Yes, I
really
butter popcorn.
A little butter popcorn. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, popcorn is, again, I live in the Midwest, and it's popcorn all the time here. When you come to Chicago.
Team butter.
Mm-hmm. Goodness.
I don't know why that would come up right now.
I don't know why that would come up right now. That's interesting. When you come to Chicago, Brad, there are places that all they do is they sell is popcorn. Like there's the Chicago. Are you familiar with the Chicago style popcorn?
I don't think I am.
Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna get a giant. It's a small trash can worth of popcorn, and it's divided into two sections. Half of the section is a bright orange cheddar flavored popcorn, and the other is a brown caramel flavored popcorn. And the idea is you take a handful of both and you shove it in your mouth, and that's the Chicago style. And it's one of those things that until you have it, you're like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Why would anyone spend $30 on flavored popcorn? And then you have it, and you're like, oh, this is delicious. And it's like a one-time thing. It's like it's not like I can go in the pantry and I have this here. Right. But any time of day in Chicago, you will go to one of these popcorn places and there's a line out the door because everyone goes and gets their fucking Chicago style popcorn that way. They've got sriracha style popcorn. They've got Oreo flavored popcorn. They've got any flavored popcorn that way, but then they got the Chicago style. It's just crazy. They love it. They love popcorn here. I don't know if that counts as a snack. I think that's an aphrodisiac.
Just spray it on anything.
Anything. Put it on some Twizzler nibs. Put it on some Oreo s'mores. You know. That's some gross stuff too, man. Have you ever had that before? Like margarine spray?
I have not. I have heard of it. I know it exists, but I have not. Have it near me. It doesn't seem like a great situation.
No, Brad. Can I tell you a quick story, real quick, about a girl that I dated in college?
Please do.
This was silly. She was very, very sweet. She's very, very sweet. I will not say her name though. She used to take Pam, the stuff you spray on stuff, and she would put that on toast. She would take Pam and she would spray it on her toast because she thought Pam was essentially just spray butter. And I had to explain to her that no, in fact, it's not that. You're just spraying like aerosol lard on your toast. And she's like, but it tastes so good.
I guess.
Yeah.
If she liked the taste,
she did. But I have to admit that learning that about her made me question a lot of things, Brad. It's the same sort of thing where if I was to say like, oh yeah, man, I'm all in on astrology, you and I probably our relationship, our friendship would change quite a bit.
It would change at least somewhat, yeah.
So yes. That's the thing for me.
It would
Brad.
be even worse than the pineapple.
Okay.
I'm trying to forgive you for that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. You're so kind for forgiving me. I appreciate it.
My therapist really wants me to stop talking about it all the time.
Well, that's good. Brett, are you actually seeing a therapist?
Of course.
Oh, good.
Everyone should.
Mandatory therapy for everyone.
Absolutely. That would be, you know what? But at one point, you asked me what one rule I would implement. Therapy for everyone.
Therapy for everyone. Mandatory therapy for everyone. I love it. That's what 100% needs to happen. All right, Brad, give me another weird one.
Another weird one. Okay. Oh, if you could know the truth behind every single conspiracy, but you would instantly die if you even hinted to anyone that you knew the truth, would you want to do it?
Oh yes, 100%. 100%. If I had to be, boy, Brad, if I was the David Icke, right? If I was the guy who had all the answers, but I can't say anything to anyone because then I would die.
No book deals. No book deals.
That's not. No book deals. No podcasts. No anything. I'm just the guy. I think I would, Brad. I think I would. And you know what I would do? Again, here's the evil part of my brain, Brad. My best is like, all right, well, if I can't say anything, I know about them, so which means I can expose them, right? If I know that there are lizard people, if I know the moon isn't real, if I know that Bigfoot is an interdimensional being, if I know who actually killed JFK, I'm trying to think about other good conspiracies. Bermuda Triangle.
Sure.
I wish I knew more international conspiracies. I wish I knew more about that. Oh boy. Pizzagate, QAnon. If I knew about all of that stuff, if all of that stuff was clear to me, right?
Sure. Yeah. The truth about Hellier season 3.
Oh my goodness!
Now,
I can't wait for that one. Right? Hollow Earth theory. That's another classic, right?
That's a good one, yeah.
Is this a giant simulation? Maybe that's what it is, Brad. That's what it is. The biggest conspiracy of the theory of them all. I wake up from the Matrix and it's, Ted Danson saying, you're in the good place. We're going to send you back. And when you're done, you'll be back here. But for now, you got to live your life.
Just keep your mouth shut.
Keep your mouth shut.
Go
Ted Danson. And not, it's Ted Danson. It's really Ted Danson. He's the first. So
makes sense. The good place is just preparing us for the inevitable news.
Wouldn't that be so good? That would be so good. Brad, what about you? Would you want to?
That's a pretty consistent conspiracy, actually. That like the more advanced that sci-fi gets, it's just because it's preparing us for truths that we're not yet ready for, and like judging people's behavior based on fiction.
Yeah,
that is coming out to see when they can release. Like, oh no, actually, that was a documentary.
That's a bad idea. It was a bad. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that way about like, are we in fact manifesting by our collective subconscious the sort of realities that we want. Like there's a lot of theories out there about like the trauma that is shared by most people in the United States after 9/11 creates this sort of desire for dystopia. And because we've all been so focused on stuff like The Walking Dead and comic book heroes and everything else, that is the reason we get to this point where like the last 4 years of the fucking world's life where truth doesn't matter anymore and everything is kind of going upside down. Like, it is because of the way in which we want the world to be. And in some ways, it's a really interesting idea. It's total bullshit, though, to think that we have the ability to be like, I want RoboCop to exist. So every night I'm going to sit there and think, I wish there were robot policemen. I wish it was true, right? Like we can't, I believe in manifestation, but I don't think I can say, I want Blade Runner to be real. And so I'm going to sit every day and think about it being real, right?
Sure. But like, to some degree, it can be true. Like we have cell phones because of Star Trek and Dick Tracy. Like,
but I mean, I guess in some ways you have to ask yourself. It's like, all right, so does 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, does that predict that we are going to have submarines, or does someone read that and say we can make that real? Right? Like there are some things about like, well, how come we don't have time machines? How come we don't have these sort of things where it's like, I think it's more that the pieces of art exist and somebody is influenced in it. And then they decide they want to go and try something else that way. Right. Like there's way too much wacky art out there to be like, well, I've read Dune 7 times and so far I can't use my voice and a word as a weapon. Right. Like there are ways in which like, what is it about the art that then influences the product to go and make a thing? You know, so
it's complicated.
It is complicated, Brad. It is very complicated. Brad, here's my next question. Are you familiar with the state here in the United States known as Iowa? IOWA, Iowa. You've heard of Iowa?
I've heard of it. I believe I've flown over it.
Most people have. Most people have.
I don't think I've been actually like on the surface.
Okay. Well, have you stood in a cornfield before?
I have done that, yeah.
Well, then you've been to Iowa, because that's all Iowa is. It's a giant, beautiful cornfield.
Well, we got plenty of those in Canada, too. So
yeah. One of the things that is really charming and wonderful about Iowa is there's the Iowa State Fair, and it's a beautiful, like, giant 4-H sort of thing. This is my preamble to get to the question, so here we go. It's very charming. It's very homey. Usually during, presidential elections, that's where people go because, again, the Iowa caucus happens. So it's a lot of people rubbing elbows, a lot of that. And one of the main attractions at the Iowa State Fair, as well as throughout all of Iowa, is something known as butter sculpture, where people take perfectly good butter and they make sculptures out of it, right? They make
combining two of my favorite things:
sculpture,
art, and butter.
And butter. Exactly. Brad, if you had to make a butter sculpture, what would you make a butter sculpture out of?
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm. There's that part of your brain that says, "Oh, these fucking hypothetical questions."
What would I
butter
make
sculpture
out of butter? I don't know.
Well, think of what's the most, would you make a sculpture of your wife's face after her being gone for a month? Would you say the most incredible animal that I can think of is this? I want to recreate that. Like, what would you want?
I would probably lean way too far into the artsiness of it.
Oh, yes.
And make a globe and then just leave it out in the sun in Iowa.
Perfect. I love it. So
it just goes into a melty disaster.
I love the message, Brad. I love that you're combining your politics, right? And the art that way. I think the message would become very, very clear to the people of Iowa. True. Very clear.
You complete the whole installation by just a conveyor belt of popcorn buckets that goes underneath.
I love it. I think that would be wonderful. And people in Iowa would love it. You can get a deep fried Twinkie, deep fried Snickers bar, pickle, deep fried pickle. So good. So good.
I don't know about that, but I'm not really a pickle person.
Well, well, if you are a pickle person, getting a deep fried pickle is really nice. It's interesting. It's not so much the pickle, right? You're like, oh, it's like a corn dog, but then it's a pickle, right? It's
Sure.
it is a strange experience.
I would try it. I would like.
It's worth a try. It's definitely worth a try. Yeah, it's worth a try. It's good.
Excellent. Do you have any good butter or sculpture ideas?
Oh my gosh, I would probably. Here we go. If I could make a butter art, if I wanted to really get into it, Brad. There's a Murakami sculpture. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Exactly. Yeah, my Lonesome Cowboy. This is exactly what I would do in butter. Let's see if I can get a photo of it, because it's really worth seeing. It's worth seeing it. My Lonesome Cowboy, I believe, sold for $15 million. And wait till you see what it is, Brad. Boy, it's so fucking weird. It's so this is the part of like art that I'm like, I don't know if we're doing it right.
Right.
Yeah, let's do this one so you can see the scale of it. Here we go, because that's the thing. When people see it, they're like, well, what the fuck is this? And they're like, no, you got to see the scale. Here we go. Can we get into it? All right, here we go. All right, share my screen.
Alrighty.
Here we go. My Lonesome Cowboy.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's a tall one, right? Like this is a life-size character who is ejaculating like this. I would do this in butter, Brad. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if I could create a butter sculpture, it'd be something like this. And again, this piece of art, Brad, somebody, a human being, paid $15.1 million for this piece of art.
Wow.
Yeah. It does not exist in their home. It exists in a gallery. It is a piece of art that you own for prestige as well as for owning and selling. Right? That there's a reason a museum has rented this piece of art from someone. This is like a real estate investment, right?
Sure. See, that's the craziest part to me. If I spend $15 million on a piece of art like that, that's going in the front yard. My neighbors are dealing with that.
Right? But no, that's in a gallery, and people come and they spend they spend dollars.
Sure they do, Kellen.
They do, and trust me, people love this painting. He's got many others like this. His sculpture is really, really interesting. And the more you see his stuff, the more just perverse it gets, and better and better and weirder. All of it's just so interesting to me. Don't know if it's good, but it's
sure.
It's interesting.
It exists.
It exists.
It is apparently worth about $15 million.
Yes.
To somebody.
Yeah.
Craziness.
Absolute craziness.
Art. The world of
art. Again, never really sure if it's if it's good or if it's not, but boy,
if it makes you think, then it's art, right? That's doesn't have to be good.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It just has to create emotion or thought or something.
Yeah,
create a reaction.
You need to react to it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
makes judging the quality difficult.
Well, that's the thing about art.
I hated it. It must be great art.
That's the problem with art, Brad, is there's quality is relative. Like the problem with art is the more you understand about art, the less the quality matters, because there are some pieces of art. Can I tell a quick story real quick?
Sure.
Quick. So when I was in Hong Kong, I said the same artist had an installation, and one of his rooms was all this personal art that he had. And there is an artist here in Chicago named Henry Darger. Henry Darger was not an artist. Henry Darger was a mentally unstable man who never left his house. And he lived in a small room, and he would draw all the time. And he was is considered an outsider artist. And he would take like phone books, and he would take all these abandoned books, and he was drawing in like the late 60s, and he would just do these stories about, almost like really sad stories about children who were lost and like Hansel and Gretel, but would really create these really beautiful vistas. And he just like phone books on top of phone books on top of phone books, right? Just drawing and drawing and drawing. One day he dies, and they're going to his house, and they're looking through all the stuff, and they're like, we got to burn all of this stuff, right? This is an insane man's hoarding of stuff.
Right.
And it happened that someone who lived down the hall walked in and saw this and said, this is the most incredible art I've ever seen. His home has been preserved, and you can go and visit it in the state that it's still in. And all of his stuff was preserved. And Murakami had essentially a tableau of Henry Darger's stuff. And it's so recognizable when you eventually see his art, it's really instantly like, oh, and that's a Darger, because it looks like an insane person at a bus stop has been sitting there drawing. And the quality of it is really, really high, but it's also really weird and just like, it's hard to see it as art as opposed to like a mentally unstable person's like way of them scrambling. But they used to say the same fucking thing about Van Gogh, being like, well, who the fuck knows about this guy? Now he's the most incredible artist who ever lived,
That is weird.
That's my story.
Art is a very weird world.
It's complicated.
That I will probably never understand, and that's okay.
I am barely trying to understand.
It's fair.
Right, and I've got a liberal arts degree. I want to understand. I love going to the museum and looking at the art and saying, what the fuck is this doing to my brain? But boy, is it good. You got a question for me, Brad?
I do, sure. Since we're talking about art and
let's get into
weird things, what's the weirdest or craziest thing that you've spent a decent chunk of money on? No $15 million sculptures. I'm assuming. I don't.
The weirdest thing I've ever spent money on. Can we define weird? I guess because I've spent money on a lot of like kitchen utensils, right? Like I've spent money on knives. I've spent money on coffee grinders. I have a coffee grinder that is like a personal coffee grinder that is like gorgeous, and I bought that as a gift for myself when Dennis was born. It's like a couple $100 hand crank coffee grinder that is just beautiful. It's really, really wonderful. But that I don't like. Cool to me. I don't know. That's really cool stuff. But I'm thinking like weird. I'm like, what's the weirdest thing I've ever spent money on? Weird.
Anything that like someone would call you a weird idiot for spending money on.
For spending money on? Oh, that's a lot of I have a book, my favorite author, whose last name also happens to be Murakami, but he's a different Murakami. So that's Japan.
Not complicated at all.
Not complicated at all. I was in New Orleans, and my wife and I went to this little bookstore, and I saw a book of his that was like, it was all in Japanese, and it was just like a little novella that he wrote. And I was like, God, I want this. This is really wonderful. It's signed. It's really, really pretty. And my wife's like, you don't speak Japanese. And I was like, I know. And she's like, this is like isn't even a book. Like, you can't even read this. And I was like, but he signed it, and I wanted it so bad. I didn't buy it, but it was going to be $1,000 for this small book, and I wanted to buy that book so fucking much. Is there something else? That's like that I actually bought though? I'm like looking around my room, being like, "What shit that I bought?" That I'm like, oh boy. Man, Brad, that's a tough question.
I know it's a weird
It's a weird one. Like if you were to open this closet right here, Brad, I've got probably 6 or 7 like tubes that are filled with posters that I purchased probably 2-3 years ago that I still haven't found frames for. Right. Because I'm like there's like shoe heads, people who want to buy like shoes all the time. I'm like one of those people who like finds a piece of art and I'm like, oh, I want to have that in my house. I want to have that in my house. And then I'm like, well, I got to have the right frame for it. And then I got to find this and got to do that. So like I have a, oh boy, this is so embarrassing.
Good. You don't have to say it. I don't.
No, it's a very cool Star Wars poster that I'm hoping to find to actually like get a personalized frame for it, as opposed to like going on a store and like buying a frame. I want to like have a frame made for it that is like of it's New Hope, and it's like a really very cool sort of design of all the characters sort of together, and it's sort of geometrical, so it's sort of like the Death Star sort of is the main sort of image, but it's all of these sort of concentric circles, and each of the circles has like a different segment of a person's face from the movie, and it's a really cool, well done poster. And it's like it all of the Star Wars stuff that I have in my house doesn't scream of Star Wars, right? It's not like you see it and you're like, oh, it's Star Wars. Like this one too, you kind of have to look at it and you're like, oh yeah, I guess that is Star Wars. And it's really nice. So it's nice.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. It's a very, very cool poster. I have a lot of posters that I want to. I like spending. I like going to shows, like art shows, or going to like music shows, and like buying a poster of a band, and because it reminds me like, oh, that was such a good show, and then I see the poster and it's sort of connected that way. I like that a lot. So, I guess that would be seen as weird, right?
Some people probably would see that as weird. I guess it's those types of questions are hard for me and you, because we would probably mostly agree on the things that we don't find weird.
No. Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, that's perfectly reasonable. I don't know why anybody would think that that's weird.
Yeah, like spending $300 on a rice cooker. Some people are like, God, that's ridiculous. And I'm like, no, normal. This makes the best rice I've ever had in my life. Like, I love this rice cooker like it's a family member. It's amazing. Brad, do you want to take a quiz?
Sure, I'd take a quiz.
We'll take a quiz. We'll take a little quiz time. I like this. Little quiz action should be.
It's not something I should have been studying for, is it?
No. This will be an easy quiz, I think, for you.
Good.
You should be good. Quiz should be pretty simple. I should be sharing my screen.
Here we go.
Great. So we're just gonna look at what kind of butter are you, Brad? We're just gonna walk through this.
Of course.
We'll figure this out. So let's start. Great. So again, what kind of butter are you? We gotta get rid of this. Okay. Are you a fatty or skinny Malinky?
I don't know if I would call myself a fatty, so I'm going to have to go with skinny Malinky.
You're a skinny Malinky. Okay. We're going to go to next. Oh, come on, you dumb thing. Okay. All right. We get it. Do I need to turn ad blocker off for this shit?
Probably. It's probably trying to. All of that white space is actually just ads that will show up.
God damn it. All right. We'll turn it off. We'll start over. Okay. Skinny Malinky.
Yeah. See, it's all just going to fill with ads.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, and just my computer just like started screaming.
Yeah. You sacrificed your computer to give me this joke quiz. You understand that, right?
Yes.
Your computer is forfeit now. It's just full of nonsense.
I don't think that this is a real quiz. It's not letting me go to the next page. But look at this. All leggings. Like this whole thing, Brad. That's worth it. All right. Literally nothing here is clickable. None of this is clickable. Except for the ad. Okay, so the ad is clickable.
Of course. It's just to try to get you to click on an ad. It's completely busted.
Okay. All right. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we really, really tried this. Skinny Malinky. Nope. It's gone. It's done. Thank you so much. Thank you for playing, Brad. This has been great. I'm glad that I tried this. What are you butter? Let's see if are you butter, Brad. Do you think women should have to cover up for when breastfeeding in public, Brad?
No. Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah,
absolutely not. Breastfeeding, you Breastfeed how you, baby. It must be uncomfortable. Yes,
I'm
this is
not
gross.
sure how that will make me butter or not, but no, that's fine.
Nope, not working.
That whole site just hates you.
Whole site. Okay, I got another. I think I have another one. Let me see if I can pull this one up.
It convinced you to turn off your ad blocker, and it's now taking over your computer to mine Bitcoin or something.
Nope, it's not going to work. Boy. Well, Brad, this has been fun. This has been a good. I really thought that this was going to work, Brad.
Typical butter propaganda, just busted. Doesn't even work.
At least this one actually. No. Can we at least take this quiz? What anime character are you the most like? All right, let's take this quiz, Brad. Let's see if this one works.
This will be much better.
What is more important, honor, reputation, or wisdom, Brad?
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Great. Nope. It's all total trash. Doesn't work.
Amazing.
I am noticing that this site is made on PHP, so maybe that's the reason why it's not really working. So, thank you, Brad. Thank you so much for that.
I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that I am not butter.
I don't think you're butter. I don't think.
But I mean, we couldn't take the quiz, so who knows?
We couldn't. And I think, Brad, if I had to guess, I would say you are probably a salted butter, right? Or maybe even a European style butter, a cultured butter that way.
Sure.
So, yeah, Brad, I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry that wasn't able to work out.
That's all right, Kellen. Kellen, do you have any enemies?
Do I have any enemies? Yes, I do. I have a person in my life who I can probably say still considers me an enemy. Okay. And I mean this in the sense where, like, there are adversaries, right? In D&D, we talk about this. We talk about who are your allies, who are your adversaries, and who are your enemies, right? Sure. I have an enemy. I have someone who actively hates me still for something that I did to them. That I don't feel bad about anymore, but something that they still are very upset about, that they blame me for essentially all of their problems for.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's a yikes. It's a yikes situation. Would you like to hear that story, Brad?
I mean, I would love to hear that story. Would you like to tell that story?
I will gladly tell the story. I will gladly tell the story. So, I am in college. It's like 2003, I believe, 2004. I had known this guy. I'm not going to name him. I had known this guy for a while. He was another actor, and he was a habitual liar. Nothing you could hear from him was true. He was the sort of person who would talk about how his family had an Olympic-sized pool, that he would take his private jet home every weekend. There were just shit that he would lie about. You were like, what is this even for? Like, what are you trying to do? And he was a really good actor, but had this need to sort of like prop himself up as this better than everything else. And he was really into Star Trek. He was really big Star Trek guy. And he had, he had a very hard time asking people for things. And so he wanted me and a couple of all of our friends, because we were all actors, we were all hanging out. We just weren't really close, but he wanted all of us to be in his Star Trek themed wedding. And so he didn't ask us. He didn't ask us if we wanted to be in the wedding. He just said, you guys are in the wedding. And he thought that was the gift to him. And he was marrying this very sweet, down-to-earth girl who we all were all like, are we really sure that you want to marry this guy? Like, you two? And she was like, I'm in love with him. I'm in love with him. I'm like, all right, cool. So I, at the time, am a poor actor living in a college town. I'm not really doing much. And he wants us all to buy these full Star Trek outfits for the wedding. They're like a couple $1,000s each. He's like, no, these are the weddings. This is the outfit. You have to buy these. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to be part of the wedding. I can't afford this. And as much as I want to be there to support you guys, I can't. And it's really weird that you're like expecting us to buy these things, not to rent them. You want to buy us. And he wrote me an email that was like 4 pages long that was just like ripping me to fucking shreds. He was just like, nobody likes you. Your friends think you're a fucking joke. He was just like everything that he could go, everything he could do, just tearing me down, just every insult he could lay at me.
Yeesh.
And I did the very immature thing. And I got on MySpace and I took that email and I put that email on MySpace and let everyone read it. And I said, hey, if you know who this person is, I just got this email from this person. I just want everyone to know this. And I feel bad. I feel bad that I did that. It was not the most mature thing for me to do.
Sure.
But it was definitely it was a thing that I did, and I definitely did it. I can't admit that I didn't do that. And it was like a couple months before their wedding, and people started canceling going to the wedding because they were so shocked that he would say these things. And it really ruined his ability to be an actor in that town. Probably 4 years later, him and his wife got divorced, and she was one of the first people who reached out to me, and she was like, I remember when you posted that, I saw that, and that was so ridiculous, and I can't believe he said that, and I feel so bad. And I was like, hey, I shouldn't have posted that. Like, I shouldn't have taken that email and done that. But also, your ex-husband is like a narcissist and is a really terrible human being. I know that he still hates me. I know that he still hates me because of this, because I have run into him multiple times before I moved out to Chicago, and even ran into him here in Chicago. And the death stare that he gives me, the death stare in terms of I feel like this person wants to punch me in the fucking face for ways in which I have wronged him. So I have an enemy, and I know that he still absolutely hates me.
Well, we've got 4 people, three people watching right now, and I see Michelle and Carrie talking to each other in the chat. So, what are the odds?
I don't know. He could still be there. I sometimes I will look him up online. Like, I'll go on TikTok and I'll see if he's there. I'll go on Twitter and I'll see if he's there and just see what he's doing. And he's living a pretty miserable life. He's not the happiest sort of person. And he's still lying about stuff. It's still a lot of wow. It's really, really tough. It's really, really tough. It's like one of those things, Brad, where I'm not like, it's like I don't know if it's a character flaw on my part, but it is really weird to know that this person hates me so much still after all of this time. It's very, very hard to know that and to process that.
It's awkward. Yeah.
What about you, Brad? Do you have any enemies? I can't imagine you do.
I don't think to that level, at least. I definitely have a bunch of people that don't tolerate me very well, but I wouldn't call them enemies. People generally tend to like me more than I like them. So it's hard for me to create enemies. I tend to avoid people more than I create enemies, generally speaking.
Yeah. I don't know, Brett. I go back to that time and I feel like Kellen Tarrant today, if I could get in a time machine, I would say, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Yes, a part of you really still wants to do that. A part of you really probably would love to do that, but
it probably felt really damn good.
It felt so fucking good, Brad. I can tell you today.
I believe it.
I can tell you today that it still felt so good, and it's just one of those things where I was like, I did it, and I just walked away. I walked away from my computer. I said, I'm going to go for a walk. So, yeah.
I mean, I have definitely created situations that people did not like me very much for.
Sure.
But in those moments, I feel like they understood my motivation enough to not turn me into an enemy long term.
Sure. I mean, again, the interesting thing about this is I've apologized to this gentleman. I wrote him a letter. I said, hey, I shouldn't have done this. That was a private email. At the same time, I was like, everything you said in that email was pretty fucking lame and not very cool to say those things to me. But, is what it is.
Sometimes you just got to take somebody out of your top 8 and blast them on MySpace.
Just put them out. Yeah. Boy, oh boy,
It
Brad.
happens.
It happens.
We're old.
Yeah, we're old. We're definitely old. MySpace stuff. Boy, wouldn't MySpace be so good right now?
I met my wife on MySpace.
Oh, that's true. That's wonderful, Brad.
Weirdly.
Yeah. Brad, you don't enjoy going to parties.
Not very often, no.
No. But if you're at a party, do you have like a party trick or a story or a thing that you do at parties that helps you like survive or like pass the time?
Drinking heavily?
Heavily.
Does that count?
Yes. Okay.
Or weed, depending on
weed
the
helps.
context,
Sure.
But yeah, not really like a party trick or story type of person, really. No.
Yeah.
I tend to not want to be perceived at parties.
You just want to be invisible. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Being the center of attention in any capacity is very awkward to me.
Well, do you even have something that sort of deflects attention from you, right? If people are like, so Brad, what about you? What are you doing? Like, do you have like a thing that you can do where you're like, and people stop paying attention to you?
I think mostly just the fact that I will answer questions in the most boring, short form way tend to get people to stop very quickly. And how are you doing? I'm good. What have you been up to? Not much. I sit at home all day. This is the first party I've been to in years. I don't even know why I'm here. Oh, okay.
Oh, see, that's why Brad, I feel like if I saw you at a party, I would be a magnet on you. I'd be like, tell me everything. Right. I want to know everything at all of it. So much. Yeah, I figured you wouldn't have like a story or a joke or something else like that, but I figured you would have something you could talk about.
I mean, I could talk about a few different things if I'm drunk enough to feel like talking. I could rant about AI. That would get people to leave me alone pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. Okay. There you go.
But yeah, I didn't really have any sort of like a go-to thing that I would do. How about you? I feel like you probably have a routine.
No,
you could just pull one of those old clown routines out from the back of your brain.
No, Brad, I actually don't do well at parties. That's the thing for me. Is like if you put me in a room with more than 8 people, I actually get really quiet. I don't enjoy being in big parties. I like more intimate sort of things. And especially if I don't know a lot of people, I tend to be a little bit more just sort of reserved, I would never go as far as to say introverted, but it's just not, I'm not as, I think people sort of see my energy as gregarious, but I'm more gregarious to the people I know and sort of can get along with. But when I'm at a party specifically, I'm much more reserved in terms of trying to read the room and not trying to, get too overly involved with people. But I mean, like, again, if there was like 10 people at a party, I'm loving that. That's a great experience. 12 people at a party, I'm like, Yeah,
sure. In worst case, I did used to do a little bit of magic. I could probably pull a card trick out of like some inactive neurons.
Oh,
if
really?
I worked at it.
Oh, really?
But it's been quite a long time.
Okay.
Very, very rusty. It would be terrible. But like, if I was drunk enough, I probably wouldn't care. So that would be fine.
But I feel like, Brad, you at a party doing even the rustiest card trick would be so fascinating. Would be so absolutely fascinating to see you doing magic tricks. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh! Do a little stupid coin things, I've got a few of those that I could do.
A sleight of hand.
Not good at it or anything.
That stuff, yeah.
It's been a good 15 years.
Not really good. There you go. Oh, that's so
I actually got a job once doing card tricks. I was working at Subway and I did card tricks for the manager, and he hired me at like a separate gas station where I would just be alone basically all night because he knew that I hated dealing with people. I'm like, fine. It's like, just work at this gas station I'm opening. It's great. entertaining his kids for like 10 minutes with card tricks. I was like, I'll set you up. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about this stupid subway nonsense.
Come work at my gas station.
Come work at this gas station.
That sounds like a legit job, working at a gas station at night when you're young. That sounds like a great job.
Just basically read like magazines or brought a book or whatever. It was great. It was a 24-hour gas station in the middle of nowhere. So I might get like one or two people coming in like a night. It was great.
Do you remember what sort of books you would read?
Oh, just all kinds. I was probably reading the Wheel of Time series back then. It was
very nice.
Late high school.
Mm-hmm. Very, very nice.
Whatever, probably book 6 or 7 or whatever it was up to back then. I have no idea.
Hit me with one, Brad. We want to do a deep dive. You want to do more silly stuff? What do you want to do?
Let's see. What do we got? Let's see. Oh, what is the most interesting concert or show that you've been to?
The most interesting concert or show I've ever been to.
Yeah, or like the best, or what, I don't know, like a standout show that you've been to.
I've seen Guar like 5 or 6 times. That's like the best, like in terms of like all-encompassing visceral shows.
they put on an event.
They put on an event, right? Like, and I go to that event with a white t-shirt and white shorts or white pants and white shoes and white socks and white underwear, and I come out and I'm covered in fake blood. It's wonderful. Sure. Guar would be up there. Sleep No More. Do you know about Sleep No More?
It doesn't sound familiar.
So, the Sleep No More was a show in New York City that was in this this hotel, and essentially it was a theater piece that you could walk into, and you could go into any room, and there was something happening there. So they would open the doors, and the show would start, and it was an interactive piece where you were essentially, you could follow actors around. You could go wherever you wanted to, right? And the actors would kind of interact with you, but it was mostly them doing their own sort of thing. I can't say that I've ever seen anything like it before, because you could just go and experience it, right? And I was able to see it at all times, Brad.
Not at all times. I just happen to be sitting at my desk that has an assortment of ridiculous random nonsense, which includes a deck of cards.
Yes, at all times, Eric girl, at all times.
I mean, I am usually sitting here, so
yeah, this is where I see you most of the time. You're just sitting there playing solitaire in front of the computer. That's what you're doing. Sure.
Instead of on the compuder, I'm just playing with cards.
Physical stuff, yeah, exactly. Yeah. No. You like the tactile.
Exactly.
Yes. So yeah, I would say Sleep No More. Again, it's it's sort of noir-y. There's elements of suspense. There's sort of this idea of and again, I've seen it twice. Both times, I had no idea what was going on, because you're not seeing every scene, right? So you're only getting these little pieces. So you go and you have this theatrical experience where you're almost sort of more drawn to exploring the space, and then kind of being like, well, I want to see what this is like right here. And, I remember walking into this big banquet room, and there was this young woman standing in like the corner talking to herself. And I just like stood back and just listened to her talk to herself and do this sort of like monologue, this sort of like soliloquy about life and about loneliness. And it was so fascinating to be like, this woman every single night does this same piece. And whether or not someone is here to see it or not is not relevant. She still has to perform with the same level of emotion, the same in just this intensity. And if there's a bunch of people in this room, they'll all see it. And if no one's here, nobody sees it. And to be able to sit there and be like, I'm the only person watching this right now. And eventually she walked out of the room and more people kind of walked in, and that was the thing about it. You just kind of got to explore the sort of space. I think that was probably the most, or if we're going back to the question, the most interesting, I would probably say Sleep No More is the most interesting like show that I've ever seen before, because I've never seen anything like it, and it doesn't happen anymore. It'll never happen. It's just so fucking weird. Great.
That's so weird and interesting.
Yeah. And the level of performance art that is like earned, right? Like there's stuff that like there's people who do stuff like that and it's like really bad performance art. It's really like over the top and campy in the worst sort of way. This is the sort of performance art that really like makes you say like, God, this could be so good. This is so interesting. This is so important to theater. This is so important to people, but you have to be willing because you're a participant. You have to engage in it. So
we have a Sleep No More hater.
What?
There, Aerith girl. I don't know.
Excuse me. I'm going to have to hear that story.
We're going to need to hear that story.
We're going to hear that story sometime, Aerith girl. I hope to see a TikTok about that this week.
Sheesh. Demanding. I don't hate it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
We still need that story, though.
Okay, we still want to hear the story. Love it, but there was a great elements, but there was like a lot that I really didn't enjoy. Yeah, I get that. But I also think that's the thing. Like, depending on the cast, depending on when you saw it, depending on what rooms you're in, like I totally like I can understand her experience that way. Like, if you saw a bad scene, it would be like, ugh.
Right. What are those sort of you get what you get situations? Like maybe It'll be great, maybe it'll suck. It's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Sleep No More. Weird shit, man. Weird shit.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Brad, here's an easy question for you. What's your favorite thing to put on toast?
My favorite thing to put on toast?
If you're going to have toast, what sort of bread are you using? What's your favorite thing to put on it?
A good like potato bread.
Potato bread. Okay.
And then Nutella.
Nutella. Oh, interesting. Nutella.
So there. You can't trick me, Kellen.
I'm not going to tricking you. What are you talking about? Tricking you? Tricking you into what, Brad?
What about you? What do you like to put on butter? On
what?
On toast, Kellen? When you're having butter, what do you want to put on it?
I want to put it on pancakes. I want to put it on waffles. I want to put it on toast. I want to put it on popcorn. I want to put it on everything.
That's understandable.
That's very understandable.
Let's talk more about butter.
Let's talk more about butter, Brad. Let's talk more about butter.
Never enough butter.
No, buddy. I mean, it's toast and it's butter. That's all you need. No jam. No anything else. Just some butter and just
like some strawberry jam. You know?
I don't mind strawberry jam, but I just want to have the butter on there. That's all it needs to be, right? Pancakes, waffles. Let's just put some butter on it.
I'd go right for the syrup. Skip the butter.
No syrup. No. I don't want it to get soggy, right? No way.
Craziness.
Crazy.
Let's see. Do you have another sort of quick-ish one?
Well, I got a bunch of quick ones, Brad.
All right. Hit me.
Brad, what's the best gift you've ever been given?
The best gift I've ever been given. Does my parents taking my child away for a weekend count?
No, that doesn't count. It's going to be a
physical gift.
A physical gift. I would want, or maybe an experience, right? It could be something else that way.
No, I don't get a lot of gifts or give a lot of gifts. I'm not a very gift person. If I want something, I just buy it. People in my life generally know that.
Mm-hmm. You just buy it.
Yeah.
But your wife has never like surprised you with something where and been like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing."
Not with like a thing. Yeah, like the best gift that people give me is generally free time. By myself.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think I know the answer to this. Yeah, it's like leave me alone. That's the best gift.
That's it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to remember like the last like physical thing that somebody gave me, and I can't think of what it would have been.
You'll think of it, Brad. You'll think of a gift one day, and you're like, "Oh, that it is perfect."
Yeah, if I think of it, I mean, I can tell you next week. But yeah, I literally cannot think of the last physical object
that's the interesting thing.
It was that long ago.
You know, what's the thing that you have that it's weird? Like, I think both of us are the same.
I got whiskey flavored coffee as a Secret Santa.
That was a fantastic Secret
It was
Santa,
great.
Right?
That's the last thing I remember somebody giving me. That was months ago. Yeah, I really don't know. I don't get things often from people. It's not
shame, Brad. It's a shame. You got another quick one for us, or are we here at the end of our lovely show as we always are?
Let's see. Oh, here's just a stupid thing. What's a meme or a picture or something on the internet that you see scroll by, Facebook, Twitter, whatever your social media thing, just a classic meme that will always make you laugh, no matter how many times you see it go by?
A meme that always makes me laugh.
Just or like a picture, or just like a post that sort of comes up regularly. That.
It's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be the Jeremiah Johnson meme. Like, I just love that long take with the smile. I don't know what it is about that just always makes me so happy.
Sure.
I love that movie in general, and I love that scene, and just that meme always. I'm like, yeah, it's a good one.
Sure. For me, it would be anything Leroy Jenkins related.
Oh, Leroy Jenkins is great.
Leroy Jenkins is good.
Mm-hmm.
A Leroy Jenkins joke made me watch the final season of the new MacGyver show.
Really?
There's a Leroy Jenkins reference.
Wow. One, I didn't know there was a MacGyver show.
Yeah, it had like 5 seasons. I think it just ended. Like they did their final season like not long ago.
Whoa. Okay.
It was weird. It was weird. It was like 4 or 5 seasons.
USA show? What show is it? What show?
I think it is USA. I'm not positive. But yeah, there was a solidly done Leroy Jenkins reference.
That's funny as hell.
And it made me laugh so hard that I decided not to give up completely on the show because it's not a great show. It's fine, but it's not good. It strung me along long enough to get to a Leroy Jenkins reference that made me laugh, so I kept watching.
I mean, Brad. I mean, the original MacGyver wasn't that good of a show. Brad. We just have. What we should do? We should have another theme episode where all we do is talk about TV, and we just deep dive into TV and best TV, the worst TV, what's good about TV, what's bad about TV. We'll try to avoid Big Bang Theory and just. Do our best to sort of deal with stuff that way.
We'll just talk about young Sheldon. That's all.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any of that, so I don't.
I watched a clip of Young Sheldon and I said, this is even more miserable than The Big Bang Theory. And The Big Bang Theory is so miserable. Ugh. It's bad. It's bad, Brad.
Yes, Leroy Jenkins is a WoW reference, but yes. the reference in MacGyver was to Leroy Jenkins very specifically.
Yeah.
So good.
So good. Brad, this has been an absolute treat. Thank you again for talking with me tonight.
It always is, even though, there was quite a lot of butter talk.
Well, I mean, Brad, it seemed like it was just a perfectly spread out conversation between the two of us. It seemed like it,
sure.
The conversation was thorough. It melted well, and it seems like seems like everyone really enjoyed it. I mean, the audience seemed to really be on your side for most of the show. I think it was good.
It's true. I think I have unfortunately accidentally admitted to a set of skills that I'll now have to practice because people will be asking for more. And I'm definitely not well practiced currently.
Brad, trust me. Anytime you admit to something like, "Oh, I don't like butter," I'm like, "Guess what next week's going to be?" And I'm like,
great. So by next week, I will have had to retrain myself at least a little bit on something because I know it's going to come up.
It's like, Brad, if you had to do a card trick right now, what card trick would you do?
That's the end of the show. I just shut the whole thing down.
Just stream ends.
My trick is a disappearing act. Goodbye.
But I can only do it once.
Yeah. Anyway, see you next week for whatever that turns into.
I love that Eric Girl just noticed my shirt. She just noticed the shirt too. That's so good. That's so good. Eric Girl, you have to go back and watch the VOD. The reveal of the shirt was really good. Brad's face just went from happy to fuck.
I mean, I expected butter-related shenanigans. But I was not expecting a shirt. That is for sure.
Right?
So well done.
Why, thank you, sir. Thank you. I saw it and I said, well, I have to have this in general, but now it's even more important. So
yeah, everyone needs a shirt that just says
just
butter
a black and white shirt that says butter on it. People are going to point to me and give me thumbs up on the street. It's going to be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so good. Thank you all for joining us. This has been absolutely fantastic. As always, Brad. Time. Yeah, highlight of the week. We'll see y'all later.
See you next week.